This episode of Weekly Weird News is sponsored by Upstart and by Stamps.com.
Has this ever happened to you? One minute you're at home perusing your large collection of World War II memorabilia, and the next, you've got an anti-tank artillery shell stuck so far up your ass that you have no choice but to head on down to the local emergency room and ask them to pull it out. But also, please be gentle. This is a priceless artifact that we're dealing with here. Be very gentle, Doc.
Yes.
I mean, we've all been there.
Sure.
It's absolutely no fun for anyone involved, and the latest victim of anal penetration via artillery almost died from it.
Yeah.
So let's look into this. Here's the sun, and yes, we are aware that the sun is bad, especially if you live in and around Liverpool. But they're the ones who broke this story, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Anyway, here you go.
The bomb squad raced to an accident and emergency department after a patient arrived with an artillery shell stuck up his behind. Army explosive experts were scrambled after medics feared the anti-tank round could be about to explode. The unnamed, which is nice, unnamed patient told doctors he slipped and fell on the 17 centimeter by 6 centimeter armor-piercing projectile taken from his private arsenal of military collectibles. It was later identified as being a World War II 57 millimeter shell that were typically fired from 6-pounder anti-tank guns. A source told The Sun, the guy said he found the shell when he was having a clear out of his stuff.
What's this?
He said he put it on the floor and then he slipped and fell on it and it went up his arse.
Oh, his arse.
He went up his arse. He was in a considerable amount of pain. I think he collected military memorabilia.
Okay.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I think this guy's a collector.
I'm gonna assume he does.
Police said that they responded to, quote, a report that a patient had presented with a munition in his rectum.
Presenting to the emergency room with a munition.
Sorry.
In his rectum.
You're never going to believe what happened.
Anyway, luckily, once the explosive ordnance disposal regiment showed up, they found that what they were dealing with was essentially just a big chunk of inert metal with no chance of explosion. Whew. But regardless of whether it was actually explosive, it was still jammed up this poor bastard's ass.
Yeah. Imagine like you're going there and you're like, okay, the doctor's like, first of all, I got bad news. This is jammed up there pretty far. We're going to have to take a lot of time and effort and get this out of you.
It's going to be slow and low.
But what if I told you that this could be worse? In fact, a lot worse. Your asshole could blow up this entire hospital wing, killing you and everyone within its radius.
Yeah, I imagine they probably had to evacuate the whole hospital.
This guy's got a bomb in his ass.
Yeah, and then, down at the local base, those guys are mobilizing. They're putting on the suit from the Hurt Locker, or
yeah, just a bomb suit.
Yeah,
like you're never gonna believe what's happening.
And
we gotta go dig a big piece of munitions out of a guy's ass.
Causing a whole scene. They're evacuating this hospital. People are like, "What's going on?" They're like, "There's a guy with a bomb in his butthole, so we gotta go."
Is he trying to blow us up?
And the guys,
he fell on it.
He's in the ER and just surrounded by like the bomb squad, and they're all just like looking closely at his butthole while he's on his stomach.
Ting, 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 ting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, if this thing had managed to pierce any internal organs, the results could have been fatal. You really shouldn't stick stuff up your butt like this.
Well, especially not munitions like this. It has to have a base.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't get lost up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least maybe a string.
Yeah.
A chain. In fact, yeah, in a way, this guy might actually be lucky that the artillery shell that he fell on was as big as it was. It could have been narrower and longer, and that would have been just up through him, Vlad the Impaler style.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I used air quotes back there for fell on it because we do have some questions about how exactly this went down. Was the shell it was just on the ground pointing up and he just slipped and fell and it happened to have bullseye accuracy?
You know what happened.
Yeah, or was this someone whose love of war memorabilia was more than just a platonic love? We'll probably never know, but let this story serve as a warning for anyone collecting old artillery shells. They can and will get stuck up your rectum if given the chance. They would love nothing more than that.
This rectum did actually damn near kill him.
Damn near killed him.
Also, say what you want about the potential benefits of No Nut November. We're seeing the consequences. This man was so horny.
Yeah.
So filled with jism.
I'll take anything.
That he found whatever was around, laying around.
Yeah, the nearest phallic object.
Yeah. Well, I read the rules of No Nut November, and it says you couldn't masturbate. Well, it didn't say anything about a prostate massage.
Yeah.
So I found the biggest munition I could.
No Nut November doesn't say anything about getting hard, as long as you don't nut.
Well, yeah.
So.
Well, it technically wasn't November, so it was built up. That's what the problem was. And then he fell on this thing and then ended up at the hospital. And then they were like, all right, sir, we've taken it out. Would you like to finish?
They had to put him on so he had to go face down so they could get the bomb, but they actually had to cut a hole in the hospital bed for his rock hard penis. And then after they got the bomb out, they're like, all right, we're not quite done here. You do have an erection that lasts more than 3 hours. And we got to deal with that now. So, but hey, good news. It's not explosive.
Yes.
Also, we're going to put your name in the newspaper. Is that cool? Oh, you don't want
Oh, you don't want that. Okay. All right. Well, anyways, moving on to some other emergency medical news. That's also a bit of an update from a story that we covered back in August. Cops are still absolutely terrified of fentanyl.
Don't even say its name.
And yes, fentanyl is a dangerous, overprescribed, highly addictive painkiller that is very easy to overdose on. But it looks like we're going to need to tap the sign again. Simply being in the presence of fentanyl will not kill you. And every actual expert on how drugs work agrees. And there has never been a single documented case of someone experiencing a medical emergency from simply touching or being near some fentanyl. Nevertheless, as we saw back in August with that cop in San Diego who dropped like a stone the second that he touched a baggie containing some fentanyl, misinformation and fear about this stuff runs rampant. And fear truly is the mind killer. And fentanyl is the spice melange.
Yes.
Combine fear of fentanyl with concerns about teen vaping, and boy, do you got some hysteria on your hands. It's a perfect storm of hysteria.
Yeah. Anyway, here's local Knoxville, Tennessee ABC affiliate WATE's report on an incident out of Madisonville. Sequoia High School will be closed December 1st and 2nd for cleaning and sanitizing after 3 people were taken to a hospital to be treated for fentanyl exposure. Officials say 2 student resource officers and a school nurse are all stable after being exposed to fentanyl Tuesday at Sequoia High School. All 3 were administered Narcan and transported to a local hospital. According to investigators, the 2 SROs confiscated a vape pen after being called to remove a 17-year-old student from a classroom. A Monroe County Sheriff's Office spokesperson said the contents of the device were tested and later confirmed to be fentanyl. Sequoia High senior Tammy Scott described the scene as horrifying. Both of our SR officers left the school on stretchers. It was horrifying to go to school where you have to go and get an education and you're scared to even go to school anymore. A hazmat team with the 10th Judicial District Drug Task Force was deployed to the school to remove any possible fentanyl residue. The Monroe County Schools superintendent also shared that a private cleaning/restoration company will thoroughly clean and sanitize the same area. The school will be closed on Wednesday and Thursday for cleaning.
So, okay, wow, pretty horrifying stuff. On the scale of things that happen in American schools, the response seems to be a little lopsided, but
yeah,
sure, yeah. This time, it wasn't just one cop hitting the ground, though, and ODing on fentanyl, and also needing an immediate Narcan dose. It was 2 cops this time, and a nurse.
Wow.
Sounds like this could have easily been a mass casualty event. And just look at these officers in full hazmat suits. Aren't they adorable?
Imagine if this kid had taken a rip in the classroom.
Yeah.
Just, everyone dropping dead.
Blowing clouds.
Yeah.
This was a very serious incident. And we do have a few questions.
Just a few.
Like, first off, who was this incredible kid vaping fentanyl?
Yeah.
Lungs of steel.
Literally vaping fentanyl?
Yeah. Well, he had tolerance is the thing.
I guess so.
Built up a big tolerance to fentanyl.
You start with the patches, and then, eventually you work your way up to vaping fentanyl in the boys' room.
Mm-hmm. And also, how is this the first that we're hearing about such a thing? Unless the kid himself was mixing fentanyl and propylene glycol to create fentanyl-laced vape juice, he'd have to be acquiring fentanyl-laced vape cartridges somehow. And
there would have to be a distribution network of vape cartridges marketed as fentanyl laced.
Yeah.
Seems like there would be a paper trail there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But hey, I guess we just haven't been paying attention because the DEA did issue a bulletin last year about fentanyl being found in vape products, and there have been scattered news reports about it over the last couple of years. But it seems like something we'd be hearing a lot more about if it was such a widespread problem that high schoolers were getting hooked on it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's already a lot of mass hysteria about this kind of stuff, and it's like you would think that this would be like over the top.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, it sounds like in the few times that law enforcement has previously made claims about fentanyl-laced vaping products, it's mostly been like sketchy CBD products where the manufacturer was cutting corners, which is very concerning.
Yeah, of course.
But also anyone unscrupulous enough to add fentanyl to their shitty fake CBD products is almost certainly not adding anywhere near the amount needed to trigger an overdose because, or at least not on purpose.
Yeah.
Because like killing your customers is bad for business.
Yeah, how could we, I don't know, get on every police and federal agent's radar? Oh, by creating a product that could kill thousands instantly.
Yeah.
That'll definitely keep attention away from our very illegal fentanyl lacing vape cartridge business.
Yeah, it seems a little bit illogical, but I don't know. Who knows?
Also, look at the ingredients of like vape cartridges. They're so dirt cheap. Like, why cutting it with anything is the most ridiculous idea.
Yeah,
It would have to be a terrorist act, like, to actually do it.
it's weird because, yeah, CBD is legal pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Not hard to acquire. I don't know. It's very strange, but look, maybe we're wrong and
Could be,
this
could
is
be.
actually a problem. In any case, it's very interesting that the two cops and the nurse were treated with Narcan and taken to the hospital having a real medical emergency while the actual owner and user of the tainted vape pen was not.
He's got a tolerance.
I guess.
Yeah.
And despite police confirming that they tested the vape for fentanyl and the test came back positive, what made those two school cops even suspect that the kid's vape juice was laced with fentanyl in the first place? Like, how do you go from confiscating a vape pen to? I mean, I guess they must have just immediately dropped to the ground, just like passed out.
Oh God, it's that fentanyl again. The one we've been hearing about on
Is that
Facebook.
what happened?
Yeah, the first reports about this incident left a whole lot of unanswered questions. But one thing was clear. Teens are vaping fentanyl now.
These are facts.
Except, maybe they're actually not. Whoops. Here's local CBS affiliate WVLT. Monroe County Sheriff's Office officials originally told WVLT News that the staff members were exposed to fentanyl through a 17-year-old student's vape pen. MCSO officials posted to the office's website that the officers and nurse were exposed to a vape pen laced with fentanyl. However, MCSO officials and the official incident report later confirmed that the drug the three were exposed to was carfentanil, which is much more potent than fentanyl, and that drug was not inside the pen's cartridge, but rather wrapped in a paper packaging and tucked into the device itself.
Okay.
Now we're smuggling extreme painkillers.
That's certainly not the same as what we were originally led to believe. We were told there was a fentanyl-laced vape cartridge,
Yeah.
and now you're saying the vape cartridge was not laced with fentanyl.
It was a dummy cartridge.
And there was a secret stash of fentanyl inside. Okay, fine, whatever. Go on. Let's see what else you got to say here. According to the report, the student was being escorted to the school's office after causing a disturbance. While taking the student to the office, officers said the vape pen fell from his person. Officers reportedly took the student and the pen to the school's SRO office. A representative with the MCSO told WVLT News that the officers were then exposed to the carfentanil, which was in powder form on a paper packaging tucked into the vape. Both officers experienced symptoms, lost consciousness, and had to be administered with Narcan, a reversal drug. Sequoia High School's nurse also experienced symptoms, was administered with Narcan, and was transferred to the hospital with the officers. WVLT News spoke with Rick Lavoie, the MCSO Public Information Officer, about the incident, and he said that both officers were tested with a handheld drug scanner from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, which identified the drug they came into contact with. Lavoie also said that there was no standard operating procedure put in place for the incident. The officers were exposed after touching the paper packaging.
All right, so this is literally the same thing that happened to that cop in San Diego. In other words, it's much more likely that these cops experienced panic attacks due to all the misinformation in their industry about how touching fentanyl leads to instant death, and mistook the panic attack symptoms for overdose symptoms. And fainting, heart racing, like just freaking out in general, like could be very similar to something that they think is affecting them.
Yeah.
Also, the mind is very powerful. So there you go. Thankfully, WVLT's report does include quotes from an actual expert calling bullshit on all this, or at the very least pushing back on it a little bit, though it is buried under several paragraphs of the police's improbable version of events.
Doctor of Pharmacy and Master of Public Health David Billou confirmed the possibility of carfentanil exposure for WVLT News. According to Dr. Billou, while it is highly unlikely for someone to see symptoms from touching a drug like carfentanil, it is possible for someone to breathe in enough particulates to cause a serious reaction. Quote, "It is highly unlikely that a minimal exposure of fentanyl powder to the skin would even result in absorption of the chemical," Dr. Billou said. "It is possible that prolonged contact, like days, would give some absorption. Breathing is a different issue. One could certainly inhale a large enough quantity of powdered chemical to cause great concern or even death." Dr. Billou also confirmed the symptoms that the officers and nurse experienced, saying that those exposed to drugs like carfentanil could see dizziness, nausea, clammy skin, and loss of consciousness. He also confirmed that Narcan is often used to treat overdoses like the ones the officers and nurses experienced.
So yeah, the doctor does leave open the possibility that the cops are totally telling the truth.
Except the cops did not say anything about breathing it in.
Yeah,
they
no,
said
it's just like...
the exposure was by touching it.
That's the thing is they would have to have like sneezed into it or like coughed or whoops, or they're like, yeah, they got so freaked out. This is how it keeps happening.
Like
to
they
cops.
immediately picks his nose after touching it. Like,
no, you gotta get a little taste.
Yeah.
But no, like I think the thing is they're like, oh my god, what is that? Oh, it's fentanyl. Whoa! Like I don't know, but yeah, what he neither the guy or the report acknowledges is that the symptoms, dizziness, nausea, clammy skin, and loss of consciousness, or at least the feeling that you're gonna faint, could just as easily be symptoms of a panic attack. So it's either that, a panic attack, or the idea that two people both inhaled enough fentanyl to make them overdose, despite that fentanyl being contained in a tiny paper package small enough to hide inside of a vape. Who knows? Maybe they accidentally tossed all the fentanyl powder into the air while they were examining it. Butterfingers.
Uh-oh.
Maybe someone sneezed on it. In any case, the fentanyl mass hysteria continues. And this surely isn't the last story of fentanyl that we'll be hearing.
No, not at all. The hysteria around this, I mean, we talked about it last time we covered the San Diego cop, but it's like the police officers, it's wild how like just over the last few years, just because of like Facebook groups they're all in, have just convinced themselves that touching fentanyl, looking at it askance, will make you instantly drop dead.
The immediate opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah. Very big in the COVID denial.
Oh yeah.
Sect of people.
COVID, don't care. Fentanyl, get it away from me.
Oh, what do you mean this thing that you can actually breathe in that you can't see could actually kill you?
Yeah, if you're scared of breathing in particles of fentanyl, wait till you hear about this thing called COVID-19. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So.
But they don't care. It's the number one leading cause of death for cops like 2 years in a row now. And they still refuse to even get vaccinated, so what are you gonna do?
It's just so weird seeing the seriousness of this fentanyl thing in juxtaposition with school shootings and COVID in how they're dealt with on like a sliding scale. Like showing up in fucking hazmat suits and like shutting everything down. And it's like every fucking high school.
Clearly
we're not living in the same reality.
Yeah, and like I'm positive that like every other high school in the country is having like a fucking meeting about like the signs that someone might be vaping fentanyl. Yeah. And just taking this extremely seriously.
On the docket today we have fentanyl exposure and Huckleberry Finn. Yeah. Does it belong in our library?
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on now to another story that will give viewers of this show some serious deja vu. Remember back in September when dozens of special operations soldiers at an airfield in Southern California were attacked by a lone ninja in the middle of the night and had to barricade themselves inside of a building and wait for the local cops to come and save them? Mm-hmm. Well, despite ninjas not really being a thing since the Tokugawa shogunate, it's happening again. There's been another ninja attack, this time over in France. Sacre bleu. Here's Reuters.
A man dressed like a ninja attacked and wounded 2 policewomen with a sword in Cherbourg in northwestern France on Thursday before being shot and captured, a police spokeswoman said. She said there were no immediate signs that the attack was terrorism related.
Oh, thank God.
She said the attacker had stolen a vehicle and caused an accident, after which he assaulted 2 policewomen who had been called to the scene, wounding one in the face and the other in the chin. The assailant, dressed in black in the style of traditional Japanese ninja fighters, was shot 3 times by the officers and was flown to hospital by helicopter in serious condition. The attack happened around 3:45 p.m. near a gas station of the Leclerc supermarket chain. The name and nationality of the attacker were not immediately known.
I mean, I would assume Japan.
Yeah, you would have to assume that. But ninjas, I would assume not the greatest drivers, and that's what set this whole chain of events off.
Yeah, that's where he fucked up.
You have to swing off of signposts and light poles and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Also, I mean...
You commute by rooftop.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy was cutting corners.
And ledges.
Clearly. Getting around in a car.
Yes.
So anyway, a CNN report on the incident quotes a statement from the local police in which they say, quote, "He was neutralized with bullets."
Okay.
Which, I mean, yeah, as we noted during the last ninja attack, a big drawback to being a ninja today compared to 300 years ago is having to face modern weaponry like tasers and firearms. And this ninja also failed to observe the first rule of being a ninja, which is that it's got to be at night.
It has to
be at nighttime.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you lose all your stealth bonus, and you just look like a very conspicuous dude in all black with a sword. You're going to draw a lot of attention to yourself.
Yes.
Stealth's the name of the game. 3:45 in the afternoon, that is no time for ninja business, especially when you're facing off against armed police officers. So yeah, this guy's, his daimyo, probably pretty upset. Probably not going to renew his contract after this shit show. It might even be considering seppuku for his employee here.
Yeah.
You don't do that. You've brought great shame.
You know who really ruined ninjas? ISIS.
Yeah.
The all-black getup, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
That's why they're like, they had to clarify. They're like, this was not a terrorism-related incident.
Yeah. They did ruin it. It's not fair.
They ruined a lot of things, but ninjas has got to be pretty high up on the
worst
list.
casualty of ISIS.
Ninjas.
Being able to dress like a ninja. You just can't do it anymore.
Can't do it anymore. That's that cancel culture.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've got the headlines half of the show coming right up, but first, it's time to tell you about this episode's sponsor, starting with Upstart. If you're carrying a credit balance month after month, it can feel like you're in a never-ending cycle of debt with no end in sight. Upstart can help you make that final payment so you can get ahead. Upstart is a fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date.
Rather than looking at credit score alone, Upstart considers other factors like your income, current employment, and credit history to find you a smarter rate for your loan. You can check your rate without impacting your credit score in minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. You can even receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/weird. That is upstart.com/weird. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know that we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Upstart.com/weird.
This episode is also sponsored by Stamps.com. Now, if you're looking for ways to skip the trip down to the local post office and dodge all the hectic holiday shopping traffic, why not save time and money with Stamps.com? Stamps.com lets you compare rates, print labels, and access exclusive discounts on UPS and USPS services all year long. It just makes sense, especially if your business sends more mail and packages during the holidays, which we assume it does.
Yeah. Whether you're selling online or running an office or side hustle, Stamps.com can save you so much time, money, and stress during the holidays. Access all the post office and UPS shipping services you need without taking the trip, and get discounts that you can't find anywhere else, like up to 40% off USPS rates and 76% off UPS. Going to the post office instead of using Stamps.com is kind of like taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Just going up a couple floors, sure, take the stairs. Walking up 30 flights a day, what are you doing? You could use a break. If you spend more than a few minutes a week dealing with mail and shipping, Stamps.com is a lifesaver. You'll save so much time and money, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner.
So save time and money this holiday season with Stamps.com. Sign up with promo code WEIRD for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter our code WEIRD to get that special package.
All right, now, time for the best weird headlines from around the world, around the internet from the past week, starting with sperm is being used to create an eco-friendly alternative to plastic.
Finally, someone has cracked the code.
That Cumbox guy was way ahead of his time.
They're currently milking the guy with the big bullet in his asshole.
Yeah. There's good cum in there.
It's a 3D printer at this point. They cut a hole in the bottom and they just aim it where it needs to go.
Yeah, so they're using cum or semen from
sperm.
They're using sperm from fish, like salmons, I think.
Oh, this is dumb.
And also like
well, I mean, it's great, but
like, yeah, also, I mean, it sounds promising, like, oh, because plastic is fucking terrible. Like, every one of us has just microplastics in our blood now. It's horrifying.
If there is a future, people will look back and plastics will be the #1 stupidest.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stupid things we did. But very high on the list of, like, what were they thinking?
Yeah, plastic is like our generation's, like, leaded gasoline.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, wow, well, that's fucking horrific.
Who could have thought?
Wow. But, yeah, so this is, like, that's promising. We do need alternatives to plastic that are, like, easy to make. But this one, they're like, yeah, it's great. The only problem is you can't get it wet. If any water gets on it, it melts. It turns back into cum. So, yeah, just, make stuff that you're absolutely positive is never going to get wet or even moist.
So not straws.
This is great for that, yeah.
Oh!
Just turns into a
Fish cum.
just a cum booger that you can't even, it's just stuck to your face.
I don't know. I think that the more fun idea is 3D printing things with a nice hard penis.
Yeah. They just rig you up on like
Yeah. Look, I made a little house. See, now that's fun. Why can't scientists do something cool
the
like
robot
that?
is just like,
Yeah.
all right.
And just shoving giant munitions into your ass
He's
the
all
entire
out,
time.
he's all out of cum. Get the next guy.
We got a whole lot of houses to build today.
Reload.
This is Jimmy Carter, new house building initiative.
I think it's great what we're doing with cum these days.
I live in a house of cum.
Habitat for Humanity can build so many more houses here in Mexico with the power of cum.
Well, hopefully someday this is the actual reality.
Yeah. I'm glad they're looking into it.
Yeah, it starts at fish. Next headline, Hawaii under blizzard warning with 12 inches of snow and winds of up to 100 miles per hour expected. And
Pretty unusual stuff.
you don't usually picture Hawaii with being covered in snow. Even when you sing Mele Kaliki Laka or whatever,
Yeah.
you think of Santa surfing.
Yeah, it's all about how, like, in Hawaii, it's just,
Palm trees and sunshine.
December's just another month.
But they have mountains. They have very tall mountains
Well, yeah,
that I'm sure get very cold at the top. But
So, yeah, this is a big island which has, like, Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa, which, like, do every year get, like, they definitely get frosty, get a little bit of snow. But this is a fucking blizzard in Hawaii. It's,
Yeah,
like,
it's nuts.
extremely unusual.
yeah.
So, yeah, just, like, imagine living up there. I think the only people that do live up there are scientists using, like, the telescopes and shit. But, like, do you even have, like, a winter jacket? Do you even have, like, a snow shovel?
Why would
Are
I
you
want to go
prepared
outside?
at all for this?
It's dangerous business going out your front door.
It would be cool if someone did, like, snowboard down the volcano, though. I hope they do that.
And I'm sure it'll be filmed with a drone.
Fresh powder.
Yes.
Here in Hawaii. Snowboard all the way down and then transition into surfing. That's like something Vin Diesel would do in XXX.
Yeah. But this is probably just more fake news out of Hawaii to keep people away.
Yeah. Oh, don't come here. It's freezing.
It's freezing.
Oh, God. The whole island's covered in snow. Guess you better stay home.
Yeah. Well, too bad. Your islands are beautiful.
Yeah.
And their food is delicious.
I can't quit you. The first complaint filed under Tennessee's anti-critical race theory law was over a book teaching about Martin Luther King Jr. Wow, who could have predicted that the people mad about critical race theory are just mad about anything acknowledging America's long and dark
the whole
history of
point.
racism? Yeah.
The whole critical race theory thing is just like, it's a weird buzzword that somehow works because people are willfully ignorant about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, any point in American history is going to have some really negative parts to it. And there was a very long period of time with a big negative part to it that we should obviously be teaching people about. And for some reason, they're like, no, that's actually this thing called critical race theory, and we don't want our kids learning about it.
Which, like, real critical race theory is only ever taught at, like, graduate level courses and in law schools. No one's teaching your kids, but if
it's a catch-all buzzword to piss people off.
They've changed the meaning of that to just be like anything that teaches kids that America might have been or is in any way racist, even if it's like fucking 50 years ago. We can't do that because then the white kids are going to feel bad. They're going to think that we're teaching them that they're bad. So it's like literally just teaching kids about, like, which, even if you go to school in, like, the most fucking conservative places, like, you learn about Martin Luther King. They give you...
I mean, we did. I did.
They give you, like, a kind of over-sanitized, like, bullshit version, and then, like, that's the reason...
It's the Disney version of everything.
Yeah, that's why, like, the only quote anyone fucking knows is, like, content of your character instead of the color of your skin, and, like, I have a dream, even though, like, if you look into, like, a lot of the other shit he wrote and said, pretty cool. Like,
Cool stuff.
yeah, the real version of Martin Luther King, a lot cooler than the Disney version. But like, yeah, so like the stuff we learned as kids, like, it's just so crazy to think that like parents now think that this is the most dangerous thing after fentanyl-laced vapes that could be exposed to their children.
I mean, I do get it. I was gonna say like I don't get it, but I do. It's specifically done on purpose for a very nefarious reason, and it's a lot. When it comes down to it, whether they're willfully ignorant of it or not, is about controlling their kids and making them think as though they have to do everything a certain way. Or
I guess it's just so weird. Like this is.
You're making an entire generation of people ignorant to atrocities that people should be aware of.
I understand like not liking the idea that America is a racist country. I understand it.
Yeah.
I disagree because America, I think, is still a pretty racist country. And there's a lot of evidence supporting that.
Yet.
But like the idea that you would be opposed to the idea of teaching about like old racism, like fucking like how do you teach like the entire history of the South without acknowledging that some extremely fucked up things had to take place for the South to get to the point where they went to war with the North. Like, yeah, how the fuck do you teach kids about any of the history of this country without teaching them about racism?
You don't?
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
They just don't want any history. Or
this is like
unless it's like the version where it's like George Washington
chopped down a cherry tree?
Yeah, like that shit.
Yeah, it is odd, but entirely on purpose, and it sucks. This has got to be like the answer to like, well, you remove the statues, so we're just going to remove, but they can't learn from the statues, so now they can't learn from books or teachers. And it's like teachers who are just literally, if a teacher taught exact history as it played out, would be labeled as some kind of extremist.
Yep.
I think that's already happened, right? Like it has to have.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. It happens all the time. Yeah. You like teachers in high schools or history teachers are fucking terrified of going into too much detail about
Today we're learning
anything.
about the Underground Railroad. It
People
was
needed to get from here to here.
It was the 1800s in New York City, and they needed to get. Could you believe they actually used a pneumatic train at first?
Yeah.
It was wild.
People in the South wanted to go to the North. There were reasons why they couldn't. And this lady, Harriet Tubman, who we don't know, maybe she was white, maybe she was black. Who's to say? She helped that happen through ways.
Yep.
She did things, and people got to the North. Anyway, that's enough history for today.
Roll out the TV.
Here's your test. What kind of tree did George Washington cut down?
Yeah.
All right.
Some people say he had wooden teeth. Yes. And Benjamin Franklin invented the bifocal.
Ugh. Anyway, next headline. Is Superman circumcised? Wins oddest book title of the year award.
Great.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know how you would circumcise Superman, except you need to have a moil with a
kryptonium,
with a kryptonite blade.
Yeah, kryptonite.
But yeah, I guess this book is about how.
I would assume he's not circumcised.
Yeah, you would, canonically, I would say probably not.
Yeah.
But the book is about how all the guys in early comic books were Jewish. Like the two guys who created Superman were literally like.
So he had a bris?
I don't know, but yeah, it's about it's a book about just like how heavily like Jewish influence the early comic books were, and like there's a lot of links to like Jewish mythologies and stuff that are kind of like snuck in there.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting stuff.
Well, whatever they decide, they have to go back and alter the comics. So you got to put a little indentation of it, a little anteater or a little mushroom head in there.
Yeah.
So that way that everyone knows for sure.
I mean, we saw Batman's dick. Remember that from a few years ago?
Oh, yeah!
And then, like, yeah, it was like a silhouette of his dick, and it was like, oh, Batman is circumcised. Interesting. And then, like, I think the digital versions, they scrubbed the dick. So then the physical copy became like a very sought-after collector's item, because they show just the outline of Batman's penis. Uncircumcised, or he is circumcised.
He is circumcised.
And that's why he doesn't get along with Superman, because Superman uncircumcised.
But they dock.
They do dock.
That's canonical. Maryland homeowners burned down their home while attempting to rid the house of snakes.
Yeah, that'll do it.
They took advice from like a Reddit thread. Let's just burn the whole house down.
So the story's so stupid because this was like a really nice house. I think they recently bought it for almost $2 million. And they're like, oh, we'll just smoke out the snakes. So they started like a fire somehow, but then they like just let it burn while they went and left the house and go somewhere else. And so it burned the whole fucking house down.
Yeah, of course it did.
And it's just like, if they had just called up a pest control company who actually has like machines to just pipe in like smoke into their basement or whatever, like would it cost them a couple $100 maybe?
Yeah.
Also, like Maryland, like 99% of the snakes in Maryland are completely harmless. Like,
yeah, there's nothing to worry about.
They have like 2 species of
They're killing the
snakes.
mice that are in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
seems like an overreaction to something that would have been easily handled in any other way.
Yeah.
Especially if you're buying a $2 million house. It's like, I don't know how much it costs for an exterminator, but it can't be more than they're willing to spend.
Or just get yourself a mongoose.
Yeah, you keep getting the animal that is bigger than the other
Get a mongoose, a little Ricky Tikki Tavi of your own, and just send him in there. He'll be killing them.
Yeah, but then you need like a bobcat to take out the mongoose.
Yeah.
You're going up the chain.
Eventually, you got a grizzly bear in your house. Yeah. So,
That house belongs to the bear now. But at least the house still exists.
Yeah. Debt collectors can now reach out to you over social media.
We live in hell.
Yeah, this is, you can ignore their phone calls all you want, but they're like, these millennials, they never answer the phone.
This is why you should delete all social media.
But yeah, now it's like you make a post on social media, on like Twitter. And
hey, by the way, broke ass.
Hey, broke ass. Hey, nice post. You fucking deadbeat.
Yeah,
how about
you're like on
pay
vacation. It's just like, hey, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like this at all.
No. It was like, I got one, like once. I've gotten a couple that like I forgot about things, but they were for like $30. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. But like I had one big one where I was just like, yeah, this is actually kind of fucking scary.
Yeah, they do not leave you alone if you owe like any money. My first experience with debt, I was like 15, and I think I like.
Now you're really young.
Well, I got like the Columbia House like CD club, and I just like I didn't pay my bill because back then you actually had to like mail in your bills. I just like forgot about it, and like they were just like harassing like me and my parents just like constantly over like $20. So
I mean, it was a great example of how like things are handled differently. Was I had a friend whose brother was a lawyer.
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh, just give him my phone number. And like gave the debt collector his phone number, and he's just like, they won't bother you ever again.
Yeah, if you ever
because they don't want to fight it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, they want your credit will still be fucked.
Oh yeah, just annihilated
for 7 years. Yeah. But if it's the kind of debt that you don't think you'll ever be able to pay off, just
lawyer up,
and they'll stop going after you, and eventually the debt will be
expunged.
Yeah, expunged. Mm-hmm. But the step one is just don't get into debt in the first place. Mm-hmm. Spend your money wisely.
Yes, be financially responsible.
Yeah.
Italian man tries to dodge COVID jab using fake arm, which is.
Yeah, it didn't work because skin is warm. You can tell. It's very. You can tell, like skin. It's wow,
this is a pretty uncanny valley arm.
Lifelike. It has a very specific sort of feel to it.
And I don't think someone who's trying to like trick someone is going to go and spend potentially thousands of dollars on an ultra realist, or maybe he ripped the arm off a real doll.
I think he like bought it online, and this guy's such a fucking idiot that he on his like public Twitter account. They found a post where he's just like, hey, I think I'm going to buy this so I can avoid the because also this guy's a nurse. That's the whole reason he's in trouble is because in Italy, if you work in healthcare, like by law, you have to get the COVID vaccine. But he just showed up. He's like, all right, here's my arm. Go ahead and
sorry, I've been sitting on it for minutes.
Yeah, it's a little numb, but go ahead. And it's like, as a fucking nurse, he should, of all people, know that this was not going to work. So the nurse, she's like, sir, this is not your real arm. He's like, you got me. Anyway, can we keep this between us? And she didn't.
Good.
She went and narked him.
Good.
Anti-cancel culture conference canceled.
Oh no, they've gone and done it.
Cancel culture comes for the anti-cancel culture conference. Can you believe it?
I'm very confused.
This was super team Getter and Nigel Farage teaming up for a big conference in the UK. But then Omicron variant,
Oh no.
new restrictions. I think all they had to do was like, you'd have to quarantine for 2 days when you get to the UK, like pretty basic stuff. And also, I think they
And probably be vaccinated.
They wanted to do it at the O2 Arena, which I don't know if it's by law. It might just be like them choosing to do this, but you have to be vaccinated to go there. So they're just like, well, we're just not going to do it because all of us are fucking anti-vax freaks.
I would be very surprised if it went off without a hitch that they could have any kind of acceptable appearance of attendance at the O2 Arena. Like, there would have to be so many people going to this to make it even look like half full.
Yeah, that's a big arena.
Yeah.
It's no Wembley, but it's big.
It's like doing an anti-cancel culture event down at the Crypto.com arena here in LA. Everybody's favorite arena where the Lakers play. You would have to get a lot of people for it to be anything substantial.
Well, I guess we'll never know now.
Yeah, so maybe that was the thing. It was just like, oh geez. It's the Omicron. Now we care.
Yeah, we had so many people booked to come to this.
Thousands even.
But then the dang socialist UK government, they said no.
Well, it's a good thing we have insurance so that everyone can get refunds for this. Yeah. Otherwise, we'd be in debt millions of dollars because there were clearly tens of thousands of people ready to go. And No Aces was headlining.
No Aces.
Fresh off their gig in Yorkshire.
Yeah, Yorkshire. Mm-hmm. And final headline, Ghislaine Maxwell makes her own drawings of the court sketch artists during trial.
Ghislaine.
And plural, this is a thing she's been doing. It's fucking weird. At 2 different points in her trial, she has been caught drawing the court sketch artists. So that so the court sketch artist gets a picture of Ghislaine. And like one of them even has like a little tiny drawing. It's like a drawing within a drawing on it. It's great. Very strange.
She'll have plenty of time to draw when she's in prison for the rest of her life.
Yeah, hopefully. You would think this. I don't know. It's
I think the defense is leaning heavily into like how Jeffrey Epstein was completely controlling.
Yeah, he was the mastermind.
It's like she's not completely absolved of guilt. She was very clearly working and doing all of this.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's an interesting trial. If she was a risk to anyone, she'd already,
I did see didn't some flight logs leak that weren't supposed to?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Something like that, but
yeah, I don't think we're gonna learn anything from this trial. Yeah. I feel like they took the year and a half to actually charge her with crimes to sort of clean things up, clean up any links that this operation might have had to people in power, because there were definitely links. But
yeah.
Well, this week's or last week's Chapos, they did a whole bit on the jury selection for this. Like, how do you find someone who has
I have completely
unfamiliar with this?
I'm a fucking idiot. I don't do anything. I don't consume any media. I don't read the newspaper. I'm actually just a moron.
Apparently one of the guys, he's just like, I've heard of it. I was watching my local college football team, and then during a commercial, I flipped over the news, and they mentioned something about Epstein killing himself, but that's it. And then I went back to my game, and it's just like all these people who untainted, completely innocent of this horrific story are now going to have to sit through weeks of just horrific courtroom testimony.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing is the exact jurors that you're hoping for are going to be the most vanilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, your ideal juror is a tabula rasa. They're just a blank slate.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was the Jussie Smollett or the Ghislaine trial that one of the excuses that got someone out was that their husband had booked them a vacation, and it was their first vacation since COVID hit, and they're like, and you can't get a refund anymore because of the COVID thing. So we really got to go. And they're like, all right, I understand. Get out of here, you scamp. Yeah. So, but doesn't work all the time, so don't use it. But apparently, when it's your first vacation after COVID, the judge will be
try. Last time I was in jury selection, it was pathetic. People were groveling to that judge.
I just keep pushing mine back. I was called in March, and you go online because of COVID and just be like, I want a delay. I got it delayed to September and got it delayed again. Now
I think you can do it 2 or 3 times, and then they're like,
I'm supposed to go in February, which I probably will. But I missed the Robert Durst thing. Maybe I would have been on that. Mm-hmm. But I think with this job, it's pretty hard for me to be on a jury because I see everything.
Yeah.
You're like, sir, why don't you think you fit the bill for this jury selection? I Googled LASD gangs. Like, get out of here. So there you go.
Anyway, that's our show. If you haven't seen our previous episode,
Yeah.
Santa's got a gun.
Santa's packing heat.
He's dropping off lead in that stocking this year.
And the cops are arresting the Grinch. He's got a big Grinch epidemic.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff going on. Also, our retrospecticus of Jack Dorsey.
Yeah.
And he's resigning from Twitter. It's sad to see.
R.I.P. to a real
And he
one.
has invented the cube instead. So
The block.
Please watch both of those videos right over here if you haven't watched them already. They're right there. It's easy. Click them. Watch them, please. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Leave a like. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.